Welcome back to this tutorial series, and in this series we are going to be looking at data relationship. Of course, you now know that the way we structure our data, they are in one way related or connected to each other, and the relationship that exists between each of these database table can be any of these three, which could be either one to many or one to one and many to many. So we are going to be looking at the one to many. When we look at one to many is just a particular table having one unique entity and attached to several other ones. For example, if you look at customers table, of course you expect customers to have more than one orders, like the order today, they come back the order tomorrow, but only one order can on a particular order can only belong to a particular customer. A customer A cannot have the same order ID with the customer B, so it's definitely be different. So that is one customer can have many orders, and that is one to many relationship. And also we have the one to one. This one to one it's less popular, not very popular, but at the same time there will be times that there will be instances where you will definitely need to come across them, and this is when one record can only belong to another one record. Of course, because of the need to separate our consign, we need to put them separately in different tables. But look at a student, for example, and we look at contact information. A student can only have just one contact information, and a particular contact information can only belong to one particular student at a time. And this could be like maybe the biometric information, the fingerprint information. You know that no two person has the same fingerprint, and that's the same thing that exists here. That okay, a student having a unique description, so one contact details belong to one peculiar student, and that is one-to-one relationship. And also we have the many to many. Many to many, look at a typical example of that is that a student can be doing several courses, which could be class, and several courses too. Like a particular course can also be offered by many students. So it does not just have to be one. And take note of the fact that when you have many to many, of course you should not it's this one happen in the background. We are now going to be having a mapping table where when you connect a student to a record to a course, that's we then create a separate table for them to be mapped together. Okay, this student is doing this course, this same student is doing this another course, so that when you delete a particular course or you delete a particular student, instead of it when you delete a student, instead of it to delete the course that the student is doing, it will then come to this third table, which is the mapping table, and delete the record there. So that is the basic overview of the data relationship in Django. And now let us see it in practical example as we write our code. Now let's take note of something here that okay, there it's possible for us to, of course, you know that definitely you're going to be updating our model, we'll be put testing with some data. Why you can I've shown you two ways that by which you can add data to your database, either use the shell or use the admin interface. But for simplicity's sake and so that we not complicate issues for ourselves, we are going to be using the admin interface. We're going to be using the admin interface. And now don't forget, when we go, we are still using the same project source code, and now we confirm that we are still in the project directory. And don't forget, we are starting with one to many relationship, and you start your virtual environment, which is the first thing. Start your virtual environment. Start your virtual environment. You can see now that virtual environment is on now. So now let us now come to our model. You can see now that we have the student model, which is a particular table in our database. Now let us look at, we are looking at an application that has to do with coding school. Now let's say we want to attach to each student, we want to attach a particular mentor. Okay, we have several students, but one student should have one mentor. So, but a mentor can have multiple students, and that is one to many. One student can have one mentor, but a mentor can have many students, and that is one to many. So now let's go ahead to create our mentor model. So we're going class mentor, and we do models.model. Let's create the first name of the mentor. So let's say the first name of the mentor is equals to, I've looked at this before, models dot character feed, and don't forget, when you set character feed, you should definitely set the maximum length of the character feed. I don't expect any name to be more than 50, so I duplicate that with shift alt and I press the down arrow. So now I'm going to be having my last name, going to be having the last name of the mentor, same property, and now just for uniqueness sake, I am going to be having the mentor number, just like if it's a staff. Now for example, use the staff number. So this will definitely not be a character, it will rather be an integer. Integer feed, and of course we don't need to set the maximum length here. So now that we have created our mentor model, there's something you should now do is now you need to create the relationship between the mentor and the student. So don't forget that these students can have only one mentor, but the mentor can have several students. So that means you are going to be doing the connection here where you have the unique key, where you have the, I just want to try and separate it. So here what we are doing here is trying to relate students with the mentor, which is one to one to many, one to many. So now, so that means we are now going to be having the mentor in here with the student, and to connect it, because the student that can only be one, the mentor can have several students. So you don't do models to connect this, to create a relationship. You use the foreign key. Anytime you want to connect one to many relationship, you go to the one that could only have one. Like you know that the student can only have one mentor, but the mentor can have several students. So the foreign key will exist in here where you have the unique entity. So you can call it mentor or anything more descriptive that you can relate with. And but the connection is created with this foreign key, with the foreign key. So now in this foreign key, which model are we linking to? We are linking to the model mentor, and of course there's a property called on delete, meaning that when you delete the object that is particular, when you delete the mentor for example, so the undelete properties or attributes, we have the first one to be cascade. This cascade means that when the reference that we are referencing the mentor here. So let's say we delete the mentor. This cascade means that it will automatically delete every student that is relying on the mentor. Just like, okay, for example, if you have a student and you have a supervisor, automatically if your supervisor is not in the system again, you also as a student, you might have to go. That is the meaning of this cascade. And other types that we have is the protect. This protect now, it's we anytime you want to delete a particular mentor, once it has a reference to a student or once it is attached to a student, it will stop you from deleting it. It will not allow you to delete it. That is the meaning of protect, to just to show you that okay, this thing is referencing another element, so you are not allowed to delete it until you delete the students that is referencing the mentor. Then that is when you're able to delete the mentor. Of course, you also have another one, which is to set none, and this set none is just okay, after I've deleted the mentor, then this foreign key for this field should be none. So now we also have the set default. This set default, maybe I have a default mentor that I know that for sure this mentor will not leave the system or will not be deleted. Automatically, when I delete a particular mentor that is attached to the student using this foreign key, then it will now go for the default mentor and add it to this foreign key field. And don't forget that with this, you now have to set your default value. You have to set your default value, which could be the foreign key or the ID of the particular default mentor that you are working with. And also you can decide to do nothing, like when the mentor is deleted and the mentor is referencing a particular student, then you should not do anything, to just give you the ability or capability for you to undo these instances manually. But the one we are going to be using in here is cascade, meaning that once I delete a particular reference, a particular mentor that is referencing a student, then the student too that is attached to that mentor will be deleted from the system. That's cascade. Now, but as the case may be, I've shown you other types of undelete that you can use or that might possibly apply to you. And now that we have connected our data, of course, you know now that anytime you update your model, you should make migrations. After you have make migration, you should then migrate so that you can commit the changes to your database. And that is what we are going to be doing. And after which we will be going to our admin interface to update our model, update our data. That means we are going to be adding record to the new database table that we default value, but you should know that this thing is actually referencing a particular element. It is referencing a particular element, so there's no how we get a foreign key of an element that does not exist. And if I don't commit this to my database, I will not be able to update it or manipulate it. So what I'll just do is, of course, there are instances where that's why when you are building, you should have test well before you push to production. So there are instances when you are testing or developing. These are a typical instance of you having to delete your database and run the migration so that the database record will start afresh. So because now I need to create a mentor before I can add a foreign key, and without this I will not be able to create a mentor, talk less of adding it as a foreign key. So what I'll just do is I'll enter my python manage.py and I'll enter the shell, and entering the shell now I will then say import from student management import student. So what's the error? Okay, sorry, it should be from student management dot models. I should import students. And now that I've have the student imported, I'll just say student dot object dot all. I'll just say dot delete. So that will delete all the 3 records that I currently have inside the student table. So now that I have deleted the record, I can then exit my shell, clean this. Now that I've cleaned it, I will then run my migration again. Let me just press the up arrow and make migration. Okay, just say 1. Just say the default should be 1. just say default should be 1. Now if I go ahead now that I've make my migration, I can just come here and confirm the migration that I've created. I can come here and confirm the migration that I've created and be sure that this is what I want, mentor number, last name, and so on and so forth. So, and I also have the feed addition to the student. I also have the also add the feed to the student, which is the mentor with the foreign key, and on delete is cascade. So now that I've made my migration, I will then go ahead to migrate. I will then go ahead to migrate. I'll go ahead to migrate. Now I've been able to migrate. So what I'll do now is I'll start my application so that I can go to the admin server, admin interface, python manage.py, and I run the server. So it should be managed. So I control click on this. So in here I'll just go to the admin. Just go to the admin. Now you see that I've created my mentor table, but in here I don't have any mentor. I don't have any record of mentor existing. So what I will just do now is that I will come to the my admin file, which is under student management application, and I'll then import the mentor module that I created and I will register it. So I'll just duplicate this line by pressing shift down arrow. So I'll just go with the default, of mentor. Just go with the default of mentor. I have that saved already. Now that you see that I've added my mentor, so I'll come in here, add a mentor. Say the first name is now save. So now I can see now that I've added a mentor, but you see that the name is not descriptive enough. So what I will just do is come in here. Let me stop the autosave. Come in here and give a function definition of string. And just go the add the and I'll return a formatted string of self dot first name together with the self dot last name. So that I'm going to be having a unique interface. So if I come in here, of course I might need to run the migration again. Of course, no need to run migration. You can see now that I have a descriptive name for the model, which is the first name together with the last name, and I can decide to edit it. And save it, which is the update, so you can see how easy it can be. So now let me now add another student. Since I've deleted all the students, let me add another student and go. I'll just go I'll just have an extension fake filler. So it just automatically generates a response for me. I'll say the student is registered, the date join, I'll say it's today, and the mentor. You can see now that I can select only a mentor for a particular user. Let me go ahead to, of course, let me just save this. Now if I go to my student management, I have my mentors. Now let me add another mentor. I go the way of the fake filler just to generate some random inputs. I save now. Now you see that I have another mentor. Let me add another one. I go the way of the fake filler. I save the inputs. Now let me now come and add a student. Now come and add a student. Adding a student now. If I let me just generate some random record. Fake filler. Now this fake filler is just used for if you're a front-end developer. It's very useful in the sense that it helps you to generate your record very fast. Like sometimes when you are testing your application, you want to be inputting some feeds, inputting a text into the feed. So instead of you to be input a fake filler will just help you to generate random records since you are testing. So I set this to today. So you can see now that I can only select a particular mentor for the user. So since it is a one-to-many relationship, so let me say I select this and I save. So that's an action. So I now let's try to delete the particular mentor that is attached to a student. You can see this student is attached to MV sellers. So I will come in here and delete the MV sellers. So I will come here and delete. Yes, I am sure. Now let's check back and see if the student was actually deleted. You can see now because of the cascade delete, since you deleted the mentor reference in a particular student, it also deleted the student. That is the cascade in action. So now that is all about it, one-to-many relationship. And now let us look at the one-to-one relationship. One-to-one relationship. So now I'll stop my development server for now. So now one-to-one relationship is what we are going to be looking at now. And the one-to-one relationship is just one record belongs to, like it cannot be the same. For example, the one we are going to be using for this our application is for this mentor. Let's say of course we want to be paying our mentor, we want to place our mentor on a payment plan. So automatically we will definitely need their bank details or bank accounts. So now a mentor can only have one bank account details, and a bank account details can only belong to a mentor, and that is a typical example of one-to-one relationship. Now let us go ahead to create our class bank bank details, and I'll go the way of, so each model stands for a database table. So database table, and I go the model way, and I just say the bank details. Of course I'm going to be having my account number, models. The account number will definitely be an integer feed. So let's not specify, and I'm going to get the account name. I'm going to be getting the account name, and the account name of course will definitely be a character feed. And I want to have a max length, since this account name will take both the first name, last name, and possibly the middle name. Let's just give it 250 characters for maximum length. And I also expect the mentor to supply us the bank name, which will definitely be models dots, which will be a character feed. And of course, let me just set some banks can have a very long name. So let's just set the default max length to 250. But don't forget I told you that if you are using the character feed, you should always ensure that you define the maximum length. So now that we have that defined already, it's now time for us to link. Now to link your bank details to your mentor, to show that there's a relationship between the mentor and the bank details, which is a one-to-one relationship. You should either do the link, of course, for one to many, you should do the linking for the element that has just one, that can only pick one. But in here, it's either mentor pick one bank account or the bank account pick one mentor. So where should you define your relationship? You can define it either in mentor or inside bank details model, but just ensure that you cannot define it in both places. You should only define it one. Once you define it in bank details, you should not come to mentor again and define the relationship. So, and the good way to go about it is just to think of, okay, is it the mentor that have the bank details or the bank details that have the mentor? Of course, you answer the question correctly that it is the mentor that owns the bank details. So it is a good idea or a good initiative for us to add the relationship in here under the mentor. So we are going to be defining a feed here for bank details, for bank details, for bank details. Okay, let me just follow the naming convention, bank underscore details, which is equal to models, and this will be a relationship. Don't forget to link a one-to-many relationship, you use foreign key, but to link a one-to-one relationship, you use one-to-one feed. That is how to link. But don't forget, you should not come back to bank details again and define it. You should only define it in one place. Now, which model am I trying to link to? I'm trying to link to this bank details model. So I just copy and paste it just to save stress of typing. And don't forget our on delete property. It also exists for this particular one. Now on delete this time around, let us use protect. Of course, we are going to be seeing it in action later that when you want to delete a particular bank details and that bank details is attached to a mentor, it will not allow you to delete it. Unlike cascade, that it will allow you to delete it, but to go ahead to delete the reference to. But in here, it will not allow you to delete. Once the bank details is attached to a mentor, it will not allow you to delete. Or once the mentor is attached to a bank details, it will not allow you to delete until when sorry this this protect will not allow you to delete the bank details that is attached to a mentor. That means for you to delete the bank details, you should go ahead to delete the mentor first. Then that is when you'll be able to delete the bank details. So that is the protect in action. So we can so that Django will not disturb us when we are running the migration. Let us set the null label to let us set the null label to true. That means we can take nothing for this feed. And of course, it's not a big deal if the mentor decide not to supply their bank details. Of automatically they don't want to be paid, and I believe everybody want to be paid, so they will definitely go ahead to supply their bank details. So we can set this to be the none to be true for this one, so that when we are running the migration, there will not be any issue. So now we can then save now. And now that we have linked, let us now go ahead to run. Of course, anytime you update your model, you should always run your migration. So you should always run your migration. Let me clean this. So I'll go the py manage. I'll make my migration. So now you can see I've made my migrations. You can go and confirm if you want to be sure. But now after making the migration, I will then go ahead to migrate, which is to add the record to the database table. Now that I've migrated, I will then update or manipulate my data using the admin interface so that we do it the easy. Of course, you can do it with the shell, but it's always good and better. It's always good and better for you to use. Of course, I've not started the application, so I should go ahead to start the application. Run server. Should go ahead to run the application. So you should always ensure that, of course, you can use the shell like I was saying, but to save yourself the time, you can also use the admin interface, and that is why we have it. Now you see that I've added the bank details model, but it's not showing here. So what I just need to do is just come in here to the admin and add the bank details and also register it. So I'll just duplicate this line, Alt Shift down arrow, and I write the bank details. Write the bank details. So see, I come here, I reload. You see now that I have the bank details. But take note of something that I am having I am having take note of the fact that I am having bank details with double S because Django is trying to write them as write the plural form of the word. So what you just need to do is to you can just set that yourself by having a subclass of meta so that Django will not be spoiling the words for you. So you then go variables name plural, variables name plural, and I'll set the plural myself. That's okay. Plural is the bank details. Plural of that is the bank details. So of course this class there's in Python you can have a class as a sub or a child of another class, which is what this is not Django, but it's something you can do in Python. So just that when you want to set the plural of this particular model instead of Django using a double S for you, you should just go ahead to set your variables name plural. Of course, there are some times that okay, you might have, for example, if I have a model like entry, of course, Django will write the plural as entries. So you are the one that will now use this same functionality to define your plural as IEN so that it will not be mixing things up for you. So and then go back and test our application. Now if I refresh, see that the plural now is bank details. Click on it. I don't have any bank details. I will go ahead to add the bank details, fake filler. I save, and now you see that the bank details is not properly written. So I'll just come in here. I'll just use the same thing. Just let's make it life easier for ourselves, and I'll define this as account name because let me just use bank name and account number formatted as a string. I'll go ahead to refresh now. See that we have it written properly. Now let's go ahead to add another bank details. I use the fake filler and I save. Now we have it properly written. Now let us now go to our mentor and attach the but of course when you get to the front end of the application you not add it one after the other, but because we are still testing, that's why we're hiding it one after the other using the admin interface. And of course you don't expect your end user to also have access to your admin interface. So now let me go ahead to this particular mentor and I attach particular bank name. Now this mentor now, let me now say I still want to attach. Of course if you look at this particular mentor, this first one I have attached Q now bank details. Now let's say I want to attach another bank details in here and I still use the same one. It will definitely not accept because it will tell me that mentor with bank details already exists because it is a one-to-one relationship, meaning that there's no how I can attach one bank details to more than one mentor. They don't expect to have the same bank details. So I will change this. So that's the benefit or advantage of using relationship because it will make your data with structure and it will add some validation where necessary. So now I've been able to add that because I'm using a fresh bank details. Now let us now see the on delete of protect in action. So by going to our bank details, forget we have these two bank details attached to an element. Let me try to delete it. Cannot delete bank details. Deleting bank details will require deleting the following protected objects. So you see that it's telling me that I cannot delete it because I use the on delete as protect. I use the on delete as protect. So that is the power of on delete as protect. But unlike the cascade, it will just delete it, but it will then go ahead to delete this particular mentor. Now, for me to delete these bank details, all I just need to do is just come in here. Okay, now I come to the mentor. I delete the mentor itself or himself or herself. That is when I'll be able to delete the bank details. So if I come in here now that this particular bank details is not attached to any mentor, then I can go ahead to delete it and it will be successfully deleted. So that is the power of unprotect in action. So lastly, now let us look at the last relationship, which is the many to many relationship. Now the many to many relationship, the example we are going for our application, what we are going to be using, just stop the server. What we are going to be using is the course. We're going to be using the course model. Of course, it's a school, coaching school, and we have students, we have mentors, we have bank details for the mentors so that we can pay the mentors. And now let us create another model to learn our many to many relationship by creating course. Course is just many to many between students and the course. A student can offer to do several courses, and one course can be offered by several students. You can see that the relationship between the student and the course is many to many. It's many to many. So I will then go ahead to say course, class course, models, and then go ahead to say the name of the course. Because the name of the course will definitely be character feed, and now we have the max length. I will have the max length to be, of course, let me just give it 250 because of some long courses. So I'll then give the course a description. Let's just give it a description so that we learn another type of feed, which is the text feed. This text feed will take some long sentences. So unlike the character feed, so this is a text feed to take a several number of words. Now we have created the course model. It is now time for us to link the course together with the students. I told you you can just like the one to one, you can do the linking either inside students, which is what you want to link to the course, or you can do it in here in the course, whichever one work. But you should not do it in two places. You should not do it in the two places. It's either you do it inside the course or you do it inside the students. And now the question you should now ask yourself is it the student that is doing the course or the course doing the student? So definitely you know that it's the student doing the course. So I can add the relationship here. But you can see that I have several feeds here. Okay, let me just still define it here. It's fine since it is the student doing the course. So I will then say course, or let me say courses, because we expect the student to do more than one course. So courses is equals to models dot many to many. Don't forget you can only do it in one place to link your model together using the many to many relationship. And I've explained the many to many relationship 10 of it to you. Now, which model am I linking to? Linking to the course model. Linking to the course model, and with that, do I have the course model? Yes. Okay, it is not defined, so I need to don't forget that Python is actually a script language, so it takes it line by line, so you can't use it before you define it, so you have to define it first. So I'll bring the course up here because I want to use it. So you can see that the error is gone, so I need to bring the course up here. You can't use it until you define it, so that is what I'm doing here. So that's why I'm bringing the course up here so that I can be able to link it with this in here. So if I save now, If I save now, I will then go ahead to start. Of course, I've made changes to my model. The next thing you should do is to what? Get it correctly. You should to run your migration. Is to run your migration. Make the migrations. Now, after making your migration, you should now run. Now, take note of the fact that, like I've said earlier, that you should this particular many-to-many relationship does not have on delete, because when you have a student doing several courses and you delete a particular course, it does not mean you should now come and delete the student, because automatically Django will create another table, which is the mapping table, which I've talked about earlier on, that to link the relationship together. So if you delete a particular student or delete a particular course, it will rather not delete the student itself or delete the course itself, depending on what you delete. It will go and delete the relationship that exists in the mapping table. So you don't need to do the delete inside the many-to-many many-to-many relationship. It will automatically delete the mapping table. So it will not delete the record itself. It will just delete where they are linked together in the mapping table. So now that we have done that many-to-many feed or relationship, you don't need this on delete. That is what I've been repeating several times. So now that we have done that, we have run our migration. Now let us go ahead to migrate. Make migrations, then you migrate. Then you migrate. Now that you have migrated, you can then start your server to manage.py, run server. Come in here to my admin interface. You can see that I don't have my course yet, so I will then come in here to register it to as part of the admin interface course. Go ahead to register it. Go ahead to register the course. So I'll save it, then come in here, refresh. Now you can see that I have the courses. If I click here, I don't have any course at the moment, so I will add some course. You can go ahead to use my fake filler because this one looks too small. Let me just add more. Now save. Now I have a course. Of course, you know how to do this now. So just come in here and add a description to it. I'll just copy one of these. I'll choose the course name. So and I'll use the name of the course for it. So I'll save, come back in here. Now I can see that the name is more descriptive now. Of course, this is a dummy data. That is why you can see that the name does not reflect any course. So let me just change this to AI and ML. Save this. Add another one. Sorry, add the course. And I choose the automatic. Like I also change this to maybe blockchain. I save this again. Now that I have my courses, so let me just edit this and possibly change it to software development. Software development. I go ahead to save it. Now I can then attach each course to a student. Now if I come to the student, I click on this particular student. I can see now that I can select several courses by holding the control key. I can select all the 3 courses, I can select just 2 courses, I can select just one, as much as possible. So if I save it now, if I come and click on the student, you can see that I have the courses here selected as two. So if I come back to the course, I click on it. Of course, I have connected the course to the student, not the student to the course, which is actually the right thing to do. Now let's now see. Of course, let me just attach all these students, all this course. Like, okay, this student is a very good student and is doing all our courses, and I save. Now let's say I come into my courses and I delete one of the courses. So let's say I delete this. Yes. So it will definitely not train it. It will not. It definitely not. It will not affect the student because it's a many-to-many relationship. But the student will just say that the course is not available, but it does not. Even if I delete all the courses, it will definitely not affect the student. So I can decide to add more courses, and here we go. So that is data relationship in Django, the one-to-one, the one-to-many, and the many-to-many.